Okay, so in lesson 102, there are more binomial expansion problems. So I just want to go over a couple of these so we can cover this lesson quickly. Um, these are very similar to the ones you've already done, except that they're a little more complicated because you don't just have x and y or a and b in your binomial. Now you have something more complicated, something like negative 3x, which has a sign on it and a coefficient, and 2y squared, which has a coefficient and a power on it. So you have to take care of all that as you're doing the binomial expansion, but you still do it the same exact way. So if we want to find the fourth term of this binomial expansion, now if this was x plus y to the fourth, then first of all, we would look at our Pascal's triangle and figure out what our coefficients are. So the coefficient is going to be 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. So we know that the fourth term of that expansion is going to have 4 as its coefficient. And then we have to think about the powers on x and y. So as you go from one term in the expansion to the next, x starts out at 4 and goes down each time 1 power. And it's gone by the last term. So the fourth term is going to have x to the 1 power. And of course, while that's happening, the y is going up from 0 up to 3. So our fourth term is going to have the coefficient of 4, and it's going to have power on x of 1 and a power on y of 3. That's the same thing that's going to happen here, except now our x is negative 3x and our y is 2y squared. So we will write 4 and we'll use parentheses to make sure we're doing what we're supposed to do to our first term of the binomial. So our first term of the binomial is negative 3x, and we're supposed to be raising that to the first power. And then our second term, or y, is 2y squared, and we have to raise that to the third power. So that's all you have to do. And so this is going to be negative 12x times 2y squared cubed. So 2 cubed is 8, and y squared cubed is y to the 6th. So you're multiplying these two things together, and you're going to get up negative 96xy to the 6th. All right, so let's look at another example. So here, it's very similar. We have 2a squared minus x cubed. All right, so when we have to expand a binomial expansion that has a minus sign, all we have to do is change it to plus the opposite. So we can write this as 2a squared plus negative x cubed raised to the fourth power. And then we treat it exactly the way we would treat any other binomial expansion. Our x would be 2a squared and our y would be negative x cubed. So again, if you have a binomial raised to the fourth power, your coefficients are going to be 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. And your x here is going to be 2a squared. And your y is going to be negative x cubed. And on the first term, you raise your first term to the fourth power and your second term to the 0 power. All right, and then you're going on to the next one. Again, your first term is 2a squared. Now it's down to the third power, and your negative x cubed is up to the first power. Your third term has a coefficient of 6, and then you've got 2a squared squared and negative x cubed squared. Then you've got your 4 for your coefficient on the fourth term, and 2a squared is now down to the first power, and negative x cubed is up to the third power, and then your final term is just negative x cubed to the fourth power. All right, so now you have to go back and clean all this mess up. So 2a squared to the fourth power, 2 to the fourth is 16. A squared to the fourth is a to the 8th. The negative x cubed to the 0 power is just 1. Anything to the 0 power is 1. And then the next thing we have is 4 times 2 cubed is 8. A squared cubed is a to the 6th. And then negative x cubed to the first power is just negative x cubed. So we'll come back to that in a minute. All right, so 6 times 2a squared squared is 4a to the 4th. And negative x cubed squared is positive x to the 6th, because the parentheses tell you you're multiplying negative x cubed times negative x cubed, and that gives you positive x to the 6th. All right, and then you've got 4 times 2a squared, and now you have negative x cubed, which is negative because you're multiplying negative x cubed times negative x cubed times negative x cubed, and you're going to get negative x to the 3 plus 3 plus 3, which is 9. So this is negative x to the 9th power, and then your final term is negative x cubed to the 4th, and that will be positive. When you raise it to an even power, it becomes positive, so x to the 12th. All right, and then you just go back and clean it up. 16a to the 8th plus, you've got 4 times a is 32 times negative 1 is negative 32 x cubed. Well, we'll put the a first. Negative 32a to the 6th x cubed. And then here, 6 times 4 is 24. A to the 4th x to the 6th plus 8. Well, this is going to be negative. 4 times 2 times negative 1. Negative 8a squared x to the 9th plus x to the 12th. So that's all cleaned up now, and that is how you expand a binomial that has coefficients and powers involved in the two terms in the binomial. Okay, so in this example, we want to find the third term of this binomial raised to the 5th power. So if we look at Pascal's triangle, we're going to look at this row. It's the 6th row. And we look at the row that's just one more than the power on our binomial, because the first row is the 0 row. All right, so we have 1, 5, 10, 10, 5, 1. If we want to find the third term, that's going to have coefficient 10, because that's the third space there. So that'll be our coefficient. And then we just have to figure out the powers on our two terms. So negative 3x will be raised to a power, and 2y squared will be raised to a power. Now, when you write the powers, when you write all the terms out, you have 6 terms. And at negative 3x, on the first term, it will start out to the 5th power and go down. And the 2y squared will start out at the 0 power and go up. So these are the powers that will be in the third term. So the negative 3x will be to the 3rd power. The 2y squared will be the 2nd power. So we will have 2 times negative 3 cubed is negative 27. And x cubed is x cubed. And then 2 squared is 4. And y squared squared is 4. So we would have negative 270 times 4, which would be negative 1080 x cubed y to the 4th.